Let's talk real quick. It's Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, and I wanted to start by saying something that I feel like a lot of people need to hear, but maybe no one's really ever said it to you. And that was that you have value simply because you exist. Not because of what you can do, not because of how much money you can make, not because of your talents or your looks or even how many people like you. It's just by being alive, just by existing and already carrying your worth. See, because most of us grew up in a world that constantly tells us the opposite. Like society says, you're valuable if you're successful, if you can perform, if you're attractive. And it's like our worth is tied to an invisible scoreboard. Grades in school, how many followers you have, how much you can achieve, and how productive that you can be. But the way I see it, the truth is, those things don't define who you are. They don't give you worth. They may highlight your gifts, sure, but they don't create value. Because your value is something that you already have. Think about it like this. When a baby is born, no one looks at that child and says, well, I guess we're gonna have to wait until this baby is worth living. Let's wait until they perform, until they can sing or make money or do something impressive. No, the baby has value the moment it takes a breath. And the crazy part is that it doesn't go away as you get older. It just ends up getting buried under all of the noise of expectations and comparisons. And this kind of ties into the other thing that I wanted to share. And that was that you need to be where you are respected, where you're seen. Because the reality is that you can be the most gifted person in the room. But if the people around you don't see your value, then they're gonna make you doubt it. They're gonna treat you like you're disposable, like your worth is negotiable, like you have to earn your place at the table. And if you stay in that environment long enough, you're gonna start to believe it. But God gave us free will, so you don't have to stay there. You don't have to keep pouring yourself out where you're not seen and where you're not appreciated. You deserve to be in places and around people who recognize your worth, not because of what you can do for them, but because of what you are, what you make. That doesn't mean that every space is gonna clap for you. Not everyone's gonna celebrate you. And that's okay. But if you keep finding yourself in places where you're constantly undervalued, constantly overlooked, constantly disrespected, then hear me. It's not a reflection of your worth, it's a reflection of their blindness. So then what do? You move. You step into places where your presence matters. You build relationships where love isn't conditional on performance. You surround yourself with people who don't just see your talents, but they also see your heart. When you know your worth isn't tied to what you do, you stop living out of pressure. You stop living for freedom. You're not hustling to prove yourself. You're expressing who you already are, and that's where true confidence comes from. Not from pride, but from security. You are valuable simply because you exist. So don't go wasting your energy proving your worth to people who refuse to see it. Go where you're respected. And when you do, you'll find yourself walking lighter, freer, and stronger because you'll finally be able to stand in the truth of who you already are. Earlier today, I heard a poem um, that was kind of the inspiration for, the reason why I wanted to make this video. I don't know the name of it, but yeah, something like the morning after you take your life, it would be like any other day. The sun would rise, the birds would sing, your bed would still be unmade, but you wouldn't be in it. Your toothbrush would still be wet from the night before. Your shoes by the door would be like untied, like your story. People would scroll live posts, go to work, check the mirrors, and then somewhere in the middle of all of that normal, someone would get the call that shatters them. Your name would end up tasting different on their tongue, heavier, final, like a song that cuts off in mid-chorus. The morning after you take your life, someone would go back and look for your text, the good morning that you would always send. You were going to share the voice note that they hadn't opened yet, and they replayed your laugh like it was oxygen while they were suffocating. Your mother might sit on your bed and run her fingers over your pillow, trying to memorize what your head felt like resting there. Your best friends will blame themselves, even if you left the note and said it wasn't their fault. Your pastor will reread your last prayer card and they wish that they had called you that morning after you take your life. Jesus would still be on the floor where he stayed all night, holding the pain that you never spoke, craving the lies that you believed, whispering, please just stay one more day. You couldn't hear him over the storm, but he never stopped singing. God the Father will replace your childhood in his hands. And the day that you gave your life, and the moment he planned your purpose, the time he protected you when you didn't even know it, and he asked, why didn't they know how much I love them? Not angrily, but like a parent watching the child walk into traffic because they thought no one was coming to save them. The morning after you take your life, the Holy Spirit would sit in the last place. You cried, still interceding, still whispering, still loving, because he never leaves, even when you do. The morning after you take your life, the angels will fold your name back into heaven's book, not because it was your time, but because you believed it was. And that's the heartbreak. You didn't die to be free. Jesus already did that for you. There was healing around the corner, the kind that rewires the brain, the kind that restores joy, the kind that brings light to rooms you thought would always be dark. There were people coming who would love you, laugh with you, fight beside you, but you didn't know they were coming because the enemy convinced you this was the only way out. This was the only way you would really feel. The morning after you take your life, you wouldn't feel peace. You'd feel the ache of what could have been. You look down and see the ripples, the child who questions their worth, a friend who now fears the silence, the parent who now sleeps with your picture beside the pillow. And heaven would mourn not because you showed up, but because you weren't supposed to be here yet. So if you're thinking about it, just know that God is still in the room. Jesus is still on the floor saying, I'll carry you with this. I'll carry you through this. I have your back. You are not your thoughts, and you are not your trauma. You are not broken. You're not too late. You're not too much, and not too far gone. You're just tired. And Jesus knows how to heal the time. You don't have to die to end the pain. You just need help, and God already sent it. Stay, talk, breathe, cry, hope, call, pray, live. Because the morning after you take your life might feel like any other day, but it would break heaven's heart. And so with that being said, that's all I have to say.